Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on the Rape of Lucrece, which, content warning, is about sexual violence towards women, or at least contains that, so if you're not into that, maybe skip these ones. But today we're going to take a look at stanzas 9 through 12. And we already know the story that's going to happen because of the argument, and in the first 8 stanzas, Shakespeare caught us up with the fact that Sextus Tarquinius is riding back to Rome because he heard about how beautiful Lucrece is and wants to sleep with her. And when he gets there, also just prior to this, there was a lot of blame placed on Colleton for talking about how beautiful his wife is, how beautiful and how virtuous, because maybe if he hadn't bragged about that so much, it wouldn't have sparked Sextus to get on his horse and ride back. He wouldn't have been so moved that he had to sleep with her had Colleton just kept his mouth shut. But when Sextus Tarquinius got back to Colatium, she greeted him and treated him very royally. And at the last stanza yesterday was talking about how beauty and virtue were sort of playing in her cheeks. Virtue would make her blush, but then her beauty would take away the blush and make her skin beautiful and snow white again. So there's going to be a little bit of a continuation here of the red versus the white in her cheeks, which is also interesting to think about in the context of the War of the Roses, if you want to start to draw some of those connections. But anyway, stanza number 9 picks up where 8 left off by saying, "But beauty, in that white entitled, from Venus' doves doth challenge that fair field. Then virtue claims from beauty beauty's red, which virtue gave the golden age to gild their silver cheeks, and called it then their shield, teaching them thus to use it in the fight, when shame assailed, the red should fence the white. This heraldry in Lucretia's face was seen, argued by beauty's red and virtue's white. Of either's color was the other queen, proving from world's minority their right. Yet their ambition makes them still to fight, the sovereignty of either being so great that oft they interchange each other's seat. Their silent war of lilies and of roses, which Tarquin viewed in her fair face's field, in their pure ranks his traitor eye encloses, where, lest between them both it should be killed, the coward captive, vanquished, doth yield to those 2 armies that would let him go rather than triumph in so false a foe. Now thinks he that her husband's shallow tongue, the miserly prodigal that praised her so, in that high task hath done her beauty wrong, which far exceeds his barren skill to show. Therefore that praise which Colleton doth owe, enchanted Tarquin answers with surmise, in silent wonder of still gazing eyes." So these first couple stanzas are just continuing on with the fact that she's so beautiful and she's so virtuous that she goes from being, pale-skinned and gorgeous to blushing to back and forth, and then brings in the fact that Sextus Tarquinius is witnessing this whole thing and is rather turned on by this whole thing. And rather than getting stuck in between, do I love her beauty or her virtue, or am I attracted to her beauty or her virtue, he just sort of surrenders to both. And at this point, he starts to think that Colleton was playing it down when he was talking about how beautiful and how virtuous Lucretia is, maybe because Colleton didn't even have the words to describe it, but Sextus is now of the mind that Colleton did his wife wrong or did her a disservice because he wasn't able to fully encapsulate her beauty. So he starts to, come up with some ideas. So that's what stanzas 9 through 12 are about. It's building the tension of she's so beautiful that even though, she's the one that won this little competition to see whose wife was the most beautiful and the most virtuous, even having seen that, it wasn't enough. She's even more beautiful and more virtuous than words could encapsulate. So that's making Sextus Tarquinius want her even more. So, yay, stanzas 9 through 12. I'll see you tomorrow and we'll pick up with stanza 13. Mwah.